For 25 years, he has transformed split-second memories into timeless keepsakes. Join me as I get inside the mind of sports marketing pioneer Brandon Steiner next on the Game 365. In just a quarter of a century, Steiner Sports has established itself as the premier name in sports marketing and the most successful vendor of sports memorabilia.
Why don't we get with Alan Houston and follow up with Alan and say, Alan, why don't we do something on another level? Instead of having all those people walking around with an iPad and doing anything, let's do something on a bigger level.
There are many reasons why, but one is certainly Brandon Steiner, the imaginative founder and CEO of the company, an empire that pulls in $40 million in revenue per year.
Just everybody got a photo of this Victor Cruz photo? Is that what it is? I'd like one autographed. This is the last ball. Oh, Andrew, Zach, here's the 12th ball.
How did your relationship with Brandon start?
Well, I think it was just evolved. It was just an evolutionary process because I knew Brandon before Steiner was Steiner. And, Brandon used to work out of the trunk of his car.
I was with Brandon when he first started in a little small office down on 27th Street. And I can remember walking into his office and trying to go through a maze to get back and find out if Brandon was back there or not.
He really had to work, especially in the beginning, to establish himself. This is a real business. I'm a real person. You can trust me. And he's done an amazing job. He's kind of set the standard.
And a lot of time in life, you needed a signed piece of paper. I think the one thing about Brandon, you never needed that.
Might be, other opportunities there, but, having someone like Brandon that you can count on, he's professional, he stands by his word, has been very comforting to be in that kind of business. And for me, I've never thought twice about it.
Brandon was always a straight shooter. You could tell he was serious, and he put significant investment behind his business, and he stayed through the tough times.
You guys learn anything?
Oh, yeah.
Anything?
Always learn. Every day.
Every day? It's a Steiner University back here. It's great.
You said you almost got out of the business. How close did you come?
Very. And I remember coming home, I was like, we're going to have a family. You sure this is going to work out? You're a pretty talented guy, and we've tried with a whole bunch of different things, and maybe you should try to go get a job again. I said, absolutely, I'm going to do that tomorrow. And I remember going in the office, and I remember I started Steiner with $4,000, and I remember taking $10,000 out of my bank account, which was a lot of money at that time, and I never called one time for another job, but I used that $10,000 like it was my last penny. I did a little marketing campaign, did a whole flyer. Did some PR, so it was a lucky break, and that was a good call on that part. Every now and then, you don't have to make a good call every time, but every now and then you get a little lucky.
Integrity has led to many very profitable relationships for Brandon. Friendships that have propelled his company to become the industry leader. Now, the list of athletes who he has worked with over the years reads like the roster of a Universal Sports Hall of Fame. And he holds exclusive autograph deals with some of the most successful athletes of today.
When you get with Brandon, with Steiner, is that they're good people. You can trust them, and when I was just coming out of college, I didn't really know much about the autograph business, but when you kind of presented several companies, you say, well, Steiner's kind of the one you can trust. They're going to do things legit. They're going to do things real. And you meet Brandon, just what a great person he is, and some of the the workers here at Steiner, and just it feels like a family. They're very close. Very close with everybody here, and anything I need, I'd love to help them out, and they're a great working relationship.
He takes care of me. He always finds positive ways, not just in the memorabilia business, but just how to get people involved and how to get people to, understand the struggles that each and every individual has faced. So he's been a great friend and a dear person in my life.
Over the years, getting to know him, getting to know his family, getting to know what he stands for, seeing his business grow, I think you develop a trust for him. But I think Brandon's second to none. Steiner Sports is second to none when it comes to the memorabilia business.
He brought it to a different level. You know what I mean? Well, you want to have someone that you trust. You have a friendship and you have a relationships, a business. You know, you have to separate both. Business side is one thing and the relationship was. That's one thing that I tell him. I don't ever want to see you again when it's business. But now you become my friend, you know, so I want to see my friend. Not the businessman, but my friend. You know, call me at 11 o'clock. This
11 o'clock at night.
Spring training, call me. I had to make a phone call for him. You know, I had to be the closer because he can close. So I had to be the closer.
You're the closer.
Exactly.
The start at Syracuse. That's next on the Game 365. The entire story of Steiner Sports' ascent to memorabilia and marketing royalty is chronicled in Brandon Steiner's new book, You Gotta Have Balls. It tells how Steiner's mother instilled a business sense in him during his childhood. But Steiner's time away from the family at Syracuse University was arguably just as important to his future direction.
I never forget in the advanced accounting class, and let me tell you, I struggled in college. I mean, college was not easy. And I know that I had no choice. My mother would disown me if I came home without the degree. But in my advanced accounting class, he made everybody get up and say, you know, what are you going to do with your life? And I said, I know what I'm not going to do. You know, I'm not going to be an accountant. I'm not hanging out with the rest of the people in this room. That's what I'm not going to do.
And though he learned a lot in the classroom, Brandon's time in the dorm room may have been more valuable in the long run. Has it always been easy for you to deal verbally with the players, where they would listen to you? Or were difficult times?
Remember, you know, first of all, I lived with a football player in college.
How did Brandon get you to embrace him at such a young age?
Well, I think that here's the thing. Knowing him at Syracuse, that's the first thing that helped. His roommate, Kenny Maniville, was one of my teammates. I got to know Brandon from that.
You know, living with a Division I player, you know, I started understanding about how that mindset worked and how those players got kind of used or abused, or how, you know, kind of the quandary they were in. So it helps me dynamically to be able to communicate, understand a little bit about a player and where their mindset is and where their head's at, having not really ever played.
When he called me the first time, when he said, Joe, I have an appearance for you, I want you to do. And I said, look, this is what you're going to do, Joe. This is what you're going to say. This is what you're going to do. You're going to sign some autograph. This is what you're going to do. Made it very easy for me.
Sure, Steiner was making it easy for the athletes, but not to be overlooked, he was also making them money. That simple equation kept most of his clients happy, but it wasn't the end-all, be-all for all of them.
The thing that was most important with you was, you said, Brandon, find me something that's interesting, I'll do it for nothing. Find me something that's a lot of money, I'm not interested, I'm not doing it. So I always had to
That's
find
funny because I've turned that 180 now. Just give me
okay,
a
all right, fair, but you know, that always hit home with me, you know.
Yeah.
And I know the charity thing was always close to home with
Yeah,
you. That was
yeah.
another thing.
It's a nice way of
and my
doing it.
favorite Mike line is like, you got these guys that coming down 100 miles an hour, the puck is getting shot. You got to find joy in that. The game's on the line. You got to find joy in that unknown.
How the hell did you end up getting the confidence of the players? Because like, the last thing you want to do on your day off is go like drive 2 hours in a car and go to a mall and, you know, hear people tell you why you should have missed that long shot from the red line. And but for the most part, I mean, you found a way to get in there and get the players' trust and then get the fans' trust who are buying the things, right?
You know, I love the Rangers stuff. You know, talk about, you know,
great stuff.
I mean, there's nothing. I'm just really grateful you stopped that. Listen, I really appreciate you stopping Burry on the penalty shot. That was a really big win for us back then, because that was a whole line of product.
The guarantee that nobody heard was I said we're going to win it, the cup the next 5 years in a row, and thankfully that didn't really get out in the air.
Well, that's good. Well, there was one time we're going to an appearance. I don't know if you remember this. This is before cell phones. They were just coming out.
Yeah, right.
So we had to go out to New Jersey. This is when I really said, man, Mike Rick, there's a rock star. It's we're in the Holland Tunnel.
And I've been telling you that all these years.
It stops. And we're there's no way we're getting the appearance on time.
Yeah.
So I get out of the car in the Holland Tunnel and go like 5 cars down to get somebody's cell phone. Say, look, I got Mike Richter in the car. I'm going to give you an autograph. And the guy gives me the phone. Back those days, you know, a cell phone was like $5 a minute. But remember, we got to the mall in New Jersey, and we got there around 7:30. We were supposed to be there at 6, and you had to extend the mall. and stayed open until midnight.
Yeah.
It was all wrapped around. It's like, this guy is really popular.
That's the one thing you don't want to do, though, because you always have, and you were good about it. It's just like get players in there and out of there, and I'm sure the players are like, hey, you told me to be out here at 6 o'clock.
But you never would leave.
You can't. You can't ask somebody to stay in line and then go, oh, by the way.
11:30 at night, we stayed in that mall till.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like that, Mike. That was crazy.
Joking with Jeter. That's next on the Game 365.
That sound like more like your dad, or does it sound like I inspired you?
You're right.
Exactly. Let's leave it right there. You're right.
Brandon
Love that.
Steiner has built an immensely successful company from the ground up. But even with all his creativity, drive, and natural talent, Steiner Sports still needed a little fortune to get where it is today.
The first big break, which was, hello, welcome to Brandon Steiner. You know, in 91, when the Giants won the Super Bowl, when Otis came, I mean, you know, I was just doing marketing then, but that was a time when a lot of people wanted to represent Otis, and I snatched him.
When I got traded from the Cardinals in '86, I met Brandon, and he had a little small office, no big, just one window, one desk, one chair, and a bunch of papers. And and we sat down, and I said, hey, Brandon, if you're going to make it in this business, there's things you need to know what to do, you know. I said, one thing you have to do, you got to send cars to pick up guys, can't make them drive to the place. I said, second of all, you got to pay them up front. That way you guarantee they're going to show up. And I said, the third thing is you got to get more work from me.
You know, one of the things, just to give you an idea, to get that big break, it was probably Rizzuto, and then combined the same year with Messier. But I bounced Rizzuto's check in the early 90s. Not a good idea, Fran. And I went to the bank. I went to the bank manager. I said, I thought you got me covered. I thought you got my back. What's up? He says, listen, 2 checks bounced. I says, well, you bounced Rizzuto's. He goes, yeah, but the other one was Mickey Mantle's. So I was like, all right, I got that. You know, Mickey was a good friend. I like Mickey. So I go to Rizzuto, and Rizzuto was just killing me. Never working with you again. You bounced my check. I said, Phil, I'm going to make this up to you. And for 3 years, I just stayed on Rizzuto and gave him as much work and attention as I could. Sure enough, he gets a nod for the Hall of Fame. I think he saw the kind of guy I was to make good, and we developed a closer relationship. And sure enough, out of all the marketing guys in New York, he signs me up. And that was a really big break.
Signing up to Scooter brought Steiner instant credibility. But Brandon also owes Rizzuto for tipping him off to what has turned out to be one of his highest profile partnerships.
I never forget, I was watching a ball game with Rizzuto, which is always a nightmare whenever you watched him, because he was very emotional. He was a big fan. So this was an off night. You were watching the game. Oh, jeez, Steiner, you watching that? Steiner, if you're not watching the game right now, I'm hanging up on you. Like, you had to watch the game with him, and you had to, like, he was a big fan. So we're watching the game, and he goes, you got this guy Jeter, right? I said, well, you know, Jeter, I mean, I don't know. He was barely going to start. I mean, I'll get to him. He goes, Brandon, this kid is special. You, Huckleberry, you better get on this. Now, I say to myself, I get off the phone, Phil has never, in all the years I've known him, given me that kind of feedback and give me that kind of like, why aren't you on this? Never. Especially, here's another shortstop that would maybe potentially, maybe get in a little bit of the way of maybe some of the things I'm doing for him. So I just remember, I said, I better get on this. If Phil's saying this is something that's real, he must know something. And I just started stalking Jeter every which way. Not in a bad way, but in a good way.
Since 1996, my first year is when I started working with Brandon at Steiner Sports. And, you know, he's a guy that's been around. He knows the business. He knows everyone. He's a good person, great personality. You always enjoy talking to him because he always has things to say about whether it's my job or anyone else's job and what he thinks he can do better than you and better than everyone else. He's fun. So I think it's developed into a friendship over the years.
I just remember Jeter's dad. I would talk with his dad. He said, turned around and said, Brandon, we've heard about you. We like you. And I think there's possibly we could do something together. But, you know, tonight's really not going to work. But we'll get back to you. I just remember, I said, okay, we'll see how this goes. And then, you know, sure enough, I remember them coming up to our office and really just really understanding what they were planning for turn 2 and really developing what would end up being a 16-year relationship plus.
Steiner has seen Jeter play for 13 All-Star teams and earned the nickname Captain Clutch as a vital part of 5 World Series winning squads. But Derek's most memorable performance, which has been commemorated by Steiner Sports in many different ways, may have been when he hit a home run to become the 28th player in history to reach 3,000 hits. He was the first ever to do it as a New York Yankee. If somebody handed a script to Hollywood and they said, it's a good script, they would say it's corny. It would never happen. What do you think when you think back to that day?
That's how I planned it all along. You know? I mean, what can you say? It was storybook for me. You know, I had never thought or imagined anything like that would happen. You know, you're just focused on trying to get some hits, which you always do, but there's obviously a lot more attention on you at the time. But, you know, hitting a home run, I always hear I'm not a home run hitter. I've hit a few of them throughout the years. I wouldn't necessarily say I don't hit any, but it was the furthest thing from my mind.
You've had to answer questions. Imagine if you had a bad career. You've had to answer questions. Weren't they retiring you like 3 or 4 years ago?
It was a couple of years ago. I hit 270 one time, and then they wanted to send me home. But it's what can you do? I think everyone has good and bad years, but you got to try to find a way to bounce back.
Timeless keepsakes. That's next on the Game 365. Not only has Steiner Sports added legitimacy to the sometimes shady world of sports collectibles, it has also changed the very definition of memorabilia, inventing new types of pieces year after year.
One of my favorite lines, you know, what's next times what else is first to market, which is everything goes on in my brain every day. You know, I love being there first. You know, I live to be there first.
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams that a glove, a hat, a shirt, spikes, chairs, dirt would be valuable?
Oh, all kind of stuff, incredible. No, I never, you know, you gotta have mentality for that, you know. He has that mentality. If it was for me, that would never happen because I didn't have the eye for that. He has the mentality for that, you know. He has the eye of, you know, the dirt. Who would have thought about dirt? Well, you know, he did, you know, and he has work.
Everybody's thinking Jeter jersey, the bases, you know, going on the field for a clinic, and we thought of all that, but the value proposition, what do people really want when they go on the field? They grab some dirt.
That's incredible. Selling dirt.
So it just goes back to, you know, that. It's like, what do people really want? They want the freaking dirt. Yeah, I mean, everybody can afford $20,000 for a Jeter jersey.
It's grown in so many ways. I think the demand's always been there, but it's gotten bigger and bigger, you know, with the internet, and you can actually see these things, and people recognize that there's ways of owning these pieces of history. Yankee Stadium comes down, you can buy a piece of the turf, whatever it is. It's just, he's been leading the charge in this, and I think as creative as he gets, people will keep the demand going.
Innovative items and displays are just the beginning. Just like any successful businessman, Steiner continues to push the company he founded forward. His passion is contagious.
Bottom line of this, the equation is he wants to do something. So
Okay. You want some memorabilia? Do you want us to frame some stuff up for you? Do you want some stuff where I'll give you some more money?
Do that. You got a lot of people out here working for you, and they all seem to have that compassion. The passionate behavior you have and still have. Are you still as passionate today as you were when you were walking up those stairs with those helmets?
More.
Are you?
You know, I think for me the joy is, first of all, you know, we're customer service. I said to my people about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I said, I'm firing the customer service department here. We don't need it. We have a customer service company. Everyone here is customer service. Don't start transferring calls to customer service. You take care of that customer right then and there. If you got to get in your car, whatever, we're all in. And I tell you, that was a whole little aha moment for us. You know something? I'm driven now because I just think there's the possibility that maybe the Steiner thing goes past. Maybe it's bigger than me. I always thought it was not so much about me, but more about the players and their relevance and keeping them relevant and their greatness, their moments. Why not keep that alive? People laugh at me about that stuff, but why not? So now I'm thinking, like, maybe the Steiner thing, maybe a kid wakes up 50 years from now and says, Dad, you think we can get some Steiner stuff? And maybe that was what represents collecting. That would be a pure joy for me. Your lifelong work kind of outlives you would even be better. So I'm hoping that there's somebody in this office that's going to run this company a lot better than me.
Whoever takes over the reins will inherit the company from a man who truly put his heart and soul into building his dream, many times with tactics that would now be deemed old school.
There's a job to find an athlete and get his number and figure out where he was and then understand how that worked. So I've tracked a lot of, if the sports marketing thing didn't work, I would be an investigator. I've tracked a lot of players down and got them to do stuff, the first.
The thing that fascinates me is to start something, you need access. Not only do you need, okay, here's the player here, but sometimes you got to get over that obstacle, whether it's the wall to the training facility, the door to the arena or the stadium, you got to get around it. How'd you do that?
A lot of parking lots, waiting in the cold, waiting for guys to come out. I'd wait for Lawrence to come out. I'd come up with something to talk to him about so the other players would see me talking to him. Then as soon as I see the other players coming, I'd run over there and say, screw Lawrence. He's got all the work he needs. Like, I really got some stuff. I don't have your phone number, though. So, in those days, there's no email, no cell. So you got a guy's number, you got his home number. So you got to have credibility.
If there was a personality that all of a sudden tonight came on the scene and you said, I want him, would you go to that parking lot?
No, I'd be there.
Would you meet him?
There's no question. I would find out how to get in the parking lot. I'd find out who's running the parking lot. If not, I'd figure out how to get a car in the parking lot. I'd be under the car in the parking lot, or I'd find out where the guy was going to be right before he got to the parking lot. And believe me or not, the guy who was running the parking lot, he'd have some tickets to the game, and I'd make sure he'd have some beautiful pieces of memorabilia in his house. Because we're always digging our well before we're thirsty, and I'm not waiting for the absolute moment and then hoping I can have a relationship that's going to open up a door. I want to be the best person I could be to as many people as I can. Help as many people as often as I can. And if you know me, I'm not that judgmental. I look at everybody as something I can learn from, and I'm always digging my well. I'm always trying to help as many people as I can. If I could do it, I'm going to do it.
We visit with the CEO and founder of Steiner Sports at Madison Square Garden and examine the nuts and bolts of the sports memorabilia industry. Only on the Game 365. In part one of our two-part series on the preeminent name in sports memorabilia, Steiner Sports, we saw how Brandon Steiner bonded with some of the biggest names in athletics.
Spring training, called me, I had to make a phone call for him. I had to be the closer because he can close. So I had to be the closer.
You're the closer.
Exactly.
Now in part two, we examine the evolution of the industry. In the 25 years that Steiner has been in this business, the market for sports memorabilia and marketing has, in no uncertain terms, exploded. Are you surprised at how big the memorabilia business has become?
No. I'm not surprised at anything anymore, okay? But we didn't grow up with stuff like this happening. We were playing.
The memorabilia business, when you were playing, did it exist?
Not that I recall. It would have been Mel Hines jockstrap, I guess. I don't know. And no one knew who we were. I remember we'd have to sell our jerseys, try and raise money for a different charity, and you'd have to go around from table to table and ask people to bid on your jersey and to try and get it, and you'd just hang out, and you had to work at it. And then it wasn't long before the early 90s and really into the mid-90s where you had to stand back because everybody wanted a signed item and they wanted pictures and this and that.
Players, when it first started, were surprised, shocked at how valuable the stuff was. Are players surprised today, or is it, we know?
No, players now, they teach. they know now. They definitely know now.
The growth of the industry has been great for both Brandon and the athletes he has served, but it has also made it ever more attractive to devious deals. At one time, the business reeked of, maybe the word would be uncomfortable.
Well, I think that, when there's a dollar to be made, people find a way to, to copy things. You get one, signature, and then you find a way to somehow end up with about 20 more signatures of the same thing. And I've seen it. It's happened to me a couple times.
It was confusing out there for people. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, and athletes didn't really know what to do. Should I sign this? Should I not sign this? There was no order to things.
I remember an incident in Chicago. We're staying in a hotel in Chicago, and we're looking kind of out across the promenade there, and we see some kids, some business guys bringing the kids over, and the kids just show up right next to us. And I asked one of the kids, I said, is that guy giving you money for that at least? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, how much is he giving you? He said $1. I took the card and gave him a 20. I said, yeah, tell him thanks.
I ran across a situation like this in San Francisco once. We had, there's a gentleman standing on the corner, and he had about 3 young little girls, and he would give one of them and point them to the bus, go get this autograph, go get that autograph, and he's standing around the corner. And that turns people off.
People want an autograph. Autograph's not going to kill me, at least, so I'm not, at least I hope not. So I'm not, I'm not too terribly concerned with it. But certainly there's a situation where some guys are uncomfortable signing because they know good and well that this person's going to go out and probably do something with that autograph other than just keep it, sell it or whatever. That's just part of the game. It comes along with being a professional athlete.
It's not that they don't want to sign an autograph. Trust me, ball player will sign an autograph. They love, because they love the notoriety. They love being remembered for something. But at the same time, they don't want to be taken advantage of and being abused, and I think that's, something that people have to understand.
And Brandon Steiner, in a way, can stop that because he can control what you and other people are doing.
Well, I think that's the big thing. It's about the control. And I think ball players just love having some control over the autographs and anything else that they may have. And Brandon has really done that for us. We can come here and we can sign and make that autograph available, to everyone. People say, well, if you wait outside, you can get it for nothing. Why would you pay for it? Yeah, you can. But understand, if we can only sign 2 autographs sometime, we're in a hurry. We don't have time to sit there and sign every autograph that we would like to sign. And this just gives people an opportunity to get that autograph and packaged very neatly, by the way.
Marketing MSG. That's next on The Game 365. Brandon Steiner has helped to make Steiner Sports the #1 name in sports marketing and memorabilia. But as sound as his business model is, it wouldn't be possible without solid relationships with some of the biggest names in sports.
Being inducted to the Hall of Fame this past year, I was approached by a lot of different people. But I was looking for a business partner. I was looking for someone who I could associate myself with. And that's what I found in Steiner.
I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with Brandon offset where he says, George, how is this guy doing? Can he use a few bucks? Do you know how to get a hold of him? Can we bring this guy in? I mean, this is Brandon of his own volition trying to maintain that relationship beyond, what you would consider a player's earning power is.
Steiner's success has allowed him to expand past personal business relationships with individual sports stars. He now also has a partnership with arguably the most iconic team in the world.
Teaming up with the Yankees, it's insane. It's a dream come true. Now granted, you got to make a great sale.
Steiner didn't stop at the pinstripes. In addition to the Yankees, Brandon's company has teamed up with the Dallas Cowboys, Boston Red Sox, Notre Dame, Syracuse, and the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. A kid that grew up in Brooklyn walks into Yankee Stadium, walks into Madison Square Garden. Steiner Sports, all over the place. It must, in a quiet moment, make you feel damn good.
I'm very grateful. I'm still excited to walk into Madison Square Garden. I still think that, wow, I love this place. I remember the first time I walked in there, I thought I died and went to heaven. You know, I just like, wow, and I still feel like that. Hi, brother. Doing all right?
Good. Oh, y'all working. I see y'all working. We just watching. Y'all working.
We're here for you.
Thank you.
So please, you need anything, let us know. Don't forget about us.
Oh, you don't forget about me.
I mean, this is the most famous arena. I mean, there's nothing like Madison Square Garden, and everybody wants a little piece of it, rightfully so, because everybody remembers the first time they've been to Madison Square Garden, and this is a place that attracts a lot of firsts. People from all over the world, you want to stop here and watch and be here for a game, for a contest.
When you watch the game, do you look for something that's going to enhance your business and your client's business?
Everything.
Everything.
I'm so externally distracted that when I leave here, I feel like I've been in a boxing match. It's a little bit of a train wreck for me because I'm at the signs. I'm working with JP Morgan Chase. I'm working with the players. I'm obviously partners with the Garden. I want to make sure I capitalize on every, I'm looking at brand new practice stuff that they're wearing. I'm going to sell that. I'm thinking anything that's being used. I'm looking at the nets. I'm looking at the backboards. I'm looking at the thing that the balls hold. I'm in the locker room. I'll give usually a quick spin in there to see if there's anything new there. I'm looking at every one of their sneakers, see if there's anything unusual or limited edition, something I want to get my hands on. So it really takes me a while to unwind after a game because I'm looking at it all. I'm looking at everything.
You must be sad there's no dirt to sell.
Yeah, but we're going to sell the court. Like, we're making tables from this court. We're hoping something great continues to happen. So we're going to make cufflinks out of this court, bottle openers.
Here's a ball we can sign his baby right here.
Well,
sign it. And
what's
sell
nice
it.
about these balls is they've got the Nick logo and the season.
Nick logo?
We'll actually sell this. This is actually a brand, and we'll actually sell this ball as a practice ball. And the ones that are used in the game, they're actually authenticated. You can buy a ball actually that was used in the game. So we'll actually get the game balls.
Thank you for that ball.
Great job for me. Thank you. And I appreciate it, really.
Yes, sir. We got to do that one-on-one game, though.
Did it help when your mother said, "You gotta think, what else?"
There's no question. I mean, what else is everything? And I'll be sitting here, I'll replay everything I just saw in the warm-ups, thinking about what else and what else I'm missing and what else is maybe new equipment that's come out or anything that's happening. I'm looking at Denver, see if there's anything there that I haven't quite grabbed onto. Yeah, what else is everything?
Signing with Eli. That's next on the Game 365. There are very few people that truly know what it's like to live life as a professional athlete. But Brandon Steiner tries to understand and cater his business to those that play sports for a living.
What's going on?
Good, all right?
Phenomenal event. Loved it.
Hey, he said, you think he can beat him in a race with the ball down his court?
Seriously, right now, I just do a hoop 3 times a week.
Yeah. You be right down those on too.
I put some sneakers on.
Left hand.
But only one dribble. One-on-one, one dribble.
We can do that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on the celebrity. And one of the things I learned is it's hard to understand because you always want something from an athlete. But when you get in that world, you understand the demands, the amount of people that want things. So your demands to connect are, have to be really smart. So when I go to the players, I want to make sure it's smart, it's well thought out, but also I want to make sure that I'm putting out a hand to help. And usually the players need the most help is at the beginning. It's got to be a two-way. And I think with a lot of times, people get so caught up with the celebrity part of it, but these players are human beings, and they need things, they need help. Even though as much money as they make, they do need help facilitating their dreams or some of their business stuff that they're trying to do. Did everything happen for your event that you opened?
Yeah, it did. We got time. We got to have some lunch just to figure out
I want to give you a couple ideas. Yeah,
I definitely.
Did you, after you get to know Brandon, make introductions for Brandon with other hockey players?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of that, and it wasn't so much that it was kind of premeditated. I just think the opportunities came around. Guys were seeing what I was doing there. They would ask questions, and you know, I had never had any problems at all. Everything was very professionally done. There were never any hiccups in any regard of the functions that I did or anything like that. So I think the credibility came with just from, you know, me, of the other guys that I was around, seeing what I was doing there, and felt comfortable that if I was doing it there, that the opportunity would be there for them as well. And as we know, that's how I guess every business has started, through good word of mouth and good credibility, and Brandon's and Steiner was no different.
As you know, somebody goes into a clubhouse or a locker room, and it's either, a lot of times it's players going, you can't trust that guy. And a lot of times they can't get in the clubhouse. I get a feeling when Brandon Steiner walked into a clubhouse, everybody said hello.
Well, he wouldn't have got in the clubhouse if he didn't know somebody.
Right.
So, you know, you just don't walk in any clubhouse. You're almost anointed. If you're in the clubhouse, somebody looks over there and there's Brandon Steiner, they know that he knows somebody and he's well trusted. And because a lot of his clients already exist in there. You know, you go into a giant clubhouse, you know what? Eli does a lot of work. You know, Eli speaks a lot of credibility.
Signing Manning to an exclusive contract has been great for Steiner, but the relationship wouldn't have been as successful without mutual dedication by the Giants quarterback.
We spend hours with these players. It's not like they come here, it's an hour, and they're here for 4 or 5 hours, sometimes a whole day. Eli Manning, after the 2 Super Bowls, is here for 2-3 straight days without stop.
After the Super Bowl, how many signatures?
A lot.
I forget how many thousand.
Well, I remember. I just can't remember right at, it was about you know, after the season, I went back to Mississippi, and I was gonna be there for a while, and you know, Brandon kind of called and said, hey, you know, we got a lot of things, you know, some Super Bowl pictures, things to get signed. I said, well, I'm not gonna be back for a you know, maybe for another month or so. I said, if you want to send some things down here to Mississippi, that'd be great. I can kind of sign a few things just to, you know, hold you over till then. And so they're sending it to kind of the secretary of the head coach, you know, at Ole Miss. And so she called me and she said, did they send like a bunch of helmets? I said, no, I think it was just pictures. So it should just be, you know, a box or two. They said, well, we got 9 boxes here. It's got to be helmets. I said, oh, let's open them up. And I think it was about 4,000 photos of signing, and then you know, personalizing, you know, Super Bowl 42 MVP, or you know, the Great Escape, and different things like that. So it took me about a week going in for, you know, 3 hours. But I had some, you know, had some help, kind of some pullers, and we got it done.
Aren't you happy that your first name is short?
It makes the signature very easy. Eli flows pretty easily. You know, don't have to pick up the pen or restart. Just you know, kind of a constant motion. So you know, it works out well.
Procuring penmanship. That's next on the Game 365. Signed memorabilia is a great way to commemorate fleeting moments from some of the biggest games. Steiner Sports prides itself on offering a vast array of these pieces to its customers. They sell equipment, photos, and more, many which are peppered with a diverse range of signatures. How is your penmanship? How serious do you take that?
Well, I don't know if you would say it was good or bad. It's consistent. I think that's the number one thing you want it to be, is consistent. But I think you ask some people, they'll say it's nice. Others might say it's sloppy. But I try to say the same.
I take pride in making it where people can read it, where they can, see the signature and say, hey, that's Eli Manning. And I see, I see my teammates, I see other people, and you get a Giants, team signed helmet, and you look across it, and you can't hardly recognize anybody's name. People will put their number. Oh, that's I recognize number 20. I know who it is, but if you look at the name, it looks like it's a foreign language. So I do, I don't know if mine is the coolest looking signature, but if you look at it, you can easily tell, hey, that says Eli Manning right there.
I remember Phil Esposito told me when I was 18 years old and been drafted by the Rangers, and I remember sitting in the stands with him, and he told me a story, and I forget the player that told him, but he said, make sure that if this kid comes up and asks you for an autograph, make sure that they can read it. And that always stuck with me. And I remember when I just started as a 20-year-old and 21-year-old signing a few autographs, remembering Phil said that, and I was like, okay, write it so that they can read it. And so even to this day, I'll have people say, geez, that's a nice autograph. And I always think of Phil Esposito when I hear those things.
How demanding are you on penmanship?
Well, we try, especially when there's Russian hockey players, boy, when they start doing those little loops, that just annoyed the. I mean, I went through a little phase where we had to have a little talk with some players. I'm like, no. Matter of fact, as soon as we got the phones with the cameras, I'm like, you start shooting me, you start sending me emails. I want to see that autograph. And sometimes we'll put it in the contract. We want to see the autograph ahead of time. And a lot of players, it is what it is. Like players like, this is my autograph. Like there's a lot of players. They got the A autograph and the B autograph. And I remember going in, the Red Sox just won the World Series, and Ortiz had a beautiful autograph, and then all of a sudden we're getting these little loops. I said, Dave, why don't you give me that damn, why don't you give me the real damn autograph? And I hadn't seen him for a long time. I don't know if you remember me. I said, I'm just screwing with you. But you can give me the real autograph too. He started laughing, big, it was funny. It was Big Poppy. But we've definitely got into the art of the autograph here. We're probably, I'm thinking we're somewhere around 20 to 25 million autographs secured. I mean, it's probably the largest number of autographs secured out of any company ever in the history in the world. It's like we've secured more autographs, and we're trying to figure out what that number is. We think we've surpassed 25 million maybe.
Steiner doesn't want to stop there. In his eyes, there is a lot more room for growth.
A little what's next, like a little sidebar. I mean, I love Jay-Z. I'm a huge fan of his. He's a Brooklyn guy. He rocks. I think what he's done is amazing. I respect him, and I want to do something with hip hop. I want to help contribute to hip hop and rap and make that relevant. I want to get that up on the walls in people's houses and offices. I want to make that stuff come to life and live for years to come. I've tried with Bruce Springsteen. I've tried with some of my favorite rock and rollers, because I still feel there's a lot to be done there, and I still feel that maybe it can get done. I've had some nice opportunity to be able to at least spend some time with Jay-Z and help him again with his foundation and support him in some ways. So I'm hoping that situation comes around where he gives me that chance. We could build something. But I want to do something a little out of the box than what I've been doing as far as the next what's next, the next what else.
There are many reasons that Steiner Sports has set itself apart from other sports marketing and memorabilia companies, but the most important one cannot be accounted for on a balance sheet.
Brandon was the guy that he caters to now. He was that fan of all the sports. He was a collector. He was the guy that was interested in the players in that regard. And so I think he had a real deep understanding of who his audience was and who he was catering to. And because of it, he knew the needs of those people. And I think it was easy for him to move into that business because he was that guy.
Me, I just float back when I think of Steiner Sports to everything I wanted as a 10-year-old Fran. Everything. I wanted that uniform that guy had on. I wanted those cleats. I searched every sporting goods store to find anything that emulated like my favorite players that were wearing. So I know the kids and people would want that. I wanted the autograph. I'd wait outside the gates, wait for just a player maybe to come over to the gate, give me an autograph. So I knew there was a demand and that strong interest. And the kid, by the way, who's 10 and 11, which I think of everything about Steiner Sports through a 10 and 11-year-old's eyes, it's still lingering in the 50, 60-year-old guy too. I never want that little kid to go away. And what I do is I spur that little kid on, even though he's 50, 60, whatever, to say, hey, it's okay. Relive those memories. Have fun with this. Why not? Why not make the office cave the man cave?
What's it feel like to come all this way from 1969 when you got that first autograph at Yankee Stadium from Joe Pepitone?
Yep.
to today with everybody?
I love it. I mean, I still love, I still love every time I'm with Walt Frazier. Love every time I'm with Mark Messier. Love every time I'm with Mariano. I still cherish it and can still be a little kid about it. So it's great. I always say, if the customers don't want to buy this stuff, which I hope that, I hope I can keep thinking of ideas that, the fans really love and appreciate, I want to take all this home.